Hi, I'm Vax. I've been working on a game for the past 3 weeks and I wanted to share my progress. My game dev journey started with jams. None of my games were fun to play, but it was okay because I just needed something to distract myself. And then came Ludum Dare 53, where I made a game about a torn up letter who becomes sentient and decides to mail himself. I spent a lot of time on planning, which left me with very little time for the actual game, and it forced me to cut a lot of ideas, making the final game very different from what I imagined. It was stressful and I hated it, and I stopped making games for a long time. A long time has now passed. The game takes place in the city of Geneva, a place so wonderful the president renamed the planet after it. Our story starts where the world ends. A demon decides to go on a rampage. The angels descend from the heavens, but they were a bit too late. The game will be story driven and levels will focus on exploration, stealth, puzzles, and combat. I have written an outline of the demo and I hope I get around to shipping it. I'm being vague with specific ideas because I want people to go blind into the game. The terrain is stored in a tile map. Its dimensions are 60 by 32 by 3 and each tile is 32 pixels large. I store them in an array of ints. I also store how much memory it consumes because it's useful for serializing, and it's rect, which I use to draw its outline. My tile maps are stored in a hash map. I use a hash map instead of an array so that the world doesn't need to be in a grid and can be as sparse as it needs to be. The next pointer is used to resolve hash collisions. What are hash collisions? It's what happens when two key hashes map to the same slot. To resolve this, I link duplicate hash data pairs to the next pointer and store the key with the tilemap data. This way, duplicate hashes can be part of the same slot but still be uniquely identified. The memory for the tilemaps comes from an array. This makes saving and loading easy. It's really just one read/write. The game won't use procedural generation, so I need a way to make maps. Oh no, how am I ever gonna do that? I made a tile map editor. It can auto-tile, delete, select, move and fill. It was very simple to make. A tile map is just an array, so filling a tile is as simple as setting an index to something and erasing will be setting it to 0. The auto-tiling is much simpler than it looks. I'll oversimplify it, but I'll leave some good resources in the description. First, you map tile neighbor combinations to certain IDs. Then, you iterate over your tile array and for every tile, figure out what ID to assign it based on its neighbors. And then, draw the tile using its appropriate texture. That's it. I hope you liked my explanation. Moving on. As you can see, the world is flooded with water, and there's some blood here. It's because an angel is sad and has been crying because everyone is gone. Therefore the water and the blood. But how am I rendering this? First, I draw what's below the water. That is the tiles, light beam, moon, stars, and the bottom of the slides to a texture. Then I offset the UVs of the texture to make it wobbly because water is goofy like that. Then I draw the water, which is essentially a noise map offset by a displacement map. And finally, I draw everything else. I have more plans for this, like lighting, shadows, some blur, bloom, etc. But this will do for now. This will do. I hope you liked my explanation. Next vlog, I hope to showcase some enemies, pathfinding, and bosses, and get around to making nice visuals for the game. And since I'm not an artist, I'll have to work on my art skills or find an artist somehow. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.